Next from Springfield, Republican candidate for governor Bruce Rauner speaks at the Employer Action Day event, organized by the National Federation of Independent Business and the Illinois Chamber of Commerce. Candidate Rauner lays out his top priorities if elected governor, including improving Illinois' business climate and passing term limits. He also answers how he would work with Democrats to get things done. This runs about 35 minutes.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kim Meisch, and I am the state director for the NFIB here in Illinois. I want to thank you all for being here. I know Doug did a nice welcome, but we are always so very happy when we have a standing room only crowd for our business lobby day, because we know you guys are busy. You're running your businesses, trying to succeed in a state that is, well, we'll let Bruce talk about that. So I have the great pleasure of introducing our luncheon speaker. I'm not going to read his resume, his lengthy resume, because I'm pretty sure over the last 6 to 8 months, you've watched television, you've pulled pieces of mail out of your mailbox, and you've listened on the radio, and you may have heard a little bit about a guy named Bruce Rauner and his running mate, Evelyn Sanguinetti. I can tell you that I have had the pleasure of sitting down one-on-one with Bruce, and over the last several months observing him and his campaign, and it is an absolute pleasure to see somebody on the campaign trail who actually wants to meet with you, who is genuinely interested in what you have to say as business owners in this state. He is a retail politicker like we haven't seen in a very long time. So we are happy to have that. We are anxious for that debate and his campaign message to get out there. And you know, he is so interested in retail politics, he actually went, and these are my words, not his, press, into the belly of the beast. He went and sat before 1,000 IEA members, union members. He wasn't afraid. He sat up there with the union bosses, and he sat up there with Governor Quinn, and you know, they asked him a lot of tough questions, and he answered honestly. And he wasn't afraid because he knows that his message is the right message. It's about how do we make Illinois a better state? How do we lift this state out of the second highest unemployment in the country? How we're constantly 49th or 50th on lists where we're talking about economic growth and development and the good things going on in this country. So he's not afraid because his message is the right message. And so that's why we're so pleased to have him here today. He's going to talk to you about his vision for the state of Illinois. And you know, he's been where you are. He's been in the business world a long time, and he's successful, and he's not afraid of that. He's not ashamed of it, and you shouldn't be either. Because that's what this country and the state is about. Helping small business owners, large business owners, corporate America grow so that we can employ people, be successful, and once again have a great state in Illinois. So if Bruce would come up, we're really happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I'm deeply, deeply honored by that. I really appreciate it. I can't tell you how excited I am. You know what? I'm here for a simple reason. I want to go to work for you. Every one of you, I want to go to work for you. You are the backbone of our economy. You are the key to our prosperity, and you guys are hurting. Illinois is one of the most hostile states in America to businesses, and as long as that's true, nothing else matters. We can't afford education, we can't afford health care, we can't afford infrastructure unless we've got a thriving business community, growing, investing, hiring everybody in Illinois who wants to work. Nothing else more important than that. That's why I'm running for office, to work for you, to create an environment in Illinois where you want to grow, where it's easy for you to invest, where you can build your business and be proud of it. That's why I'm running. We've lost our way as a state. We've become the worst run state in America. Debt, deficits, unemployment, broken pension system, corrupt Medicaid system, defunding our education system, deteriorating infrastructure. Everything that can be managed and led by our politicians in Springfield is broken and failing. And these politicians think that the answer is to raise taxes. Let's tax our way out of our problems. Good grief. No way. We have got to grow our way out of our challenges. Everything is contingent on growth. You are the key to growth in Illinois. That's why I want to go to work for you. Your investment, your building, your businesses is the growth of Illinois. It's the prosperity of Illinois. It's the future of Illinois. We are going to go to work for you. You know, it's a big debate. This is going to be a rough race. Big debate of strategy, policy, lessons learned. I've been studying with the best governors around America. Mitch Daniels is my role model. Mitch Daniels, I believe, was the best governor in America when he turned Indiana around over an 8-year period. And I've been studying with him for hours. You know what he said to me, Bruce? You'll be a great governor. He said this 2 years ago, and I'm going to help you. And he said this only half joking. He said, Bruce, let me ask you a favor, though. When you become governor, don't change workers' comp rules in Illinois too fast, because it's my #1 job recruiting tool for Indiana. And I said, Mitch, let me be crystal clear. I'm going to try to change workers' comp in Illinois so fast and make your head spin. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to try to steal 2 jobs from you for every one you stole from us. And he laughed and he said, God bless you, Bruce. You know what? I hope you do, because the sad fact is Illinois' hostility to business is hurting the entire Midwest economy. The entire Midwest is suffering from Illinois' hostility to business. We've got to turn our state around just the way Mitch Daniels did in Indiana, just the way Wisconsin's being turned around, just the way Michigan's being turned around. We've got to do that here. And that's why I'm running, because I've lost my confidence that the career politicians will ever fix this. I really don't think so. The special interest groups here in Springfield are too strong. But I can stand up to them. I'm not a politician. I'm financially independent. I can't be bribed, intimidated, influenced. I'm not going to take a salary. I'm not taking a pension. I'm doing this out of love of the state. Purely out of love of the state. You know what? Simple fact is, my friends are leaving the state. My friends are leaving. Business owners are leaving. They're moving to Texas. They're moving to Tennessee. They're moving to Indiana. They're moving to Wisconsin. They're moving to Florida. And many of them have said to me, Bruce, get with it. Wake up. You should leave too. Change your residency to Florida like I just did. And you know what? That makes me mad. This is home. This is home. I was born here. I raised our 6 kids here. We built our businesses here. And I ain't leaving without a fight. Not leaving without a fight. This is our home, and we got to go to battle for our children, for our partners in business. This is our future. Right here, we got to take a stand. We got to turn our state around. We had a big debate in our family whether I should run, because I've never done this before. My 6 kids around the dinner table, my wife and I. My youngest daughter says, Daddy, don't run for governor. I don't want you to go to jail. Is that a sad comment or what, when a 13-year-old girl knows that's what our governors do? 4 out of 8 of our last governors have gone to prison. 500, 4 out of 8. Is that unbelievable? It's disgusting. It's outrageous. We've got to make this the best run state instead of the worst run state. And it's totally doable. We have the best people. We have the best location. We have fertile farms. We have the capital, the heart of America in Chicago and Illinois. We should be thriving. We have every reason to thrive, except for bad policies and bad politics in Springfield. That's it. And we can turn it around. We ain't past the point of no return, but we've got to win this race and got to turn it around. Evelyn and I are running. Evelyn, stand up. I'd like to take a bow. Evelyn Sanguinetti is here, our future Lieutenant Governor. Evelyn is a superstar. She's going to help me turn around this state government. She's phenomenal. She's a classic American success story. She's what America's all about. You know, her mom was a refugee from Cuba. Her dad was a legal immigrant from Ecuador. Poorest nation in the Western Hemisphere. Evelyn grew up tough circumstances in poverty in the tough neighborhoods outside of Miami, Florida. But she battled through food stamps, rough crime-ridden neighborhood. But she got a scholarship to Florida International University, then went to John Marshall Law School in Chicago, became Assistant Illinois Attorney General under Jim Ryan, got elected and is serving with distinction on the Wheaton City Council in DuPage County, and she's a leader in the Republican National Hispanic Assembly. She's a superstar. She's going to help drive policy and our agenda. We're going to take on the special interest groups down here, and Evelyn and I are going to do battle. She's going to be a great partner. Now here, Evelyn and I are running to accomplish 4 things. I want to focus like a laser on 4 things for you and every voter in the state. Number 1 priority by far, booming pro-business economy, creating jobs for everybody who wants to work. Let's make Illinois the most attractive state to do business rather than one of the most hostile states to do business. Nothing else more important than that. Number 1 priority by far, and that's regulatory burden and tax burden. The second priority is to take on the spending in Springfield and the layer cake of Illinois government so we can reduce the tax burden, because the spending in Springfield's out of control. Medicaid's broken, the bureaucracy's broken, the pensions are broken, and we have over 7,000 units of government in Illinois, thousands more units of government than any other state. Why? Why? Let's change that. How about we cut the number of units of government in half? How about we start with that? How about if we make our government... Let's bring together, Evelyn and I want to bring together county chairmen, mayors, school superintendents. Let's get in a room and form a task force. Let's give ourselves 6 months to drive a result. Let's transform the structure of state government. Rather than county chairmen complaining of what the state does to cause counties to spend more money, and the state officials complaining of what the counties and the cities are doing to cause the state to spend more money, and everybody goes like this? No, no. How about we all get in a room and all go like this and be responsive to you and streamline our government, make it efficient, effective, and transparent. That's what we want to do. That's our second priority, take on the spending and the structure of government, make it lean, efficient, effective, and transparent. Third priority for Evelyn and me, and we're dedicated our lives to this, is education. Education is the most important thing we can do with our taxpayer dollars. It should be the top priority with our education dollars, rather than a political football like Pat Quinn has made and the politicians here, where they cut education funding when they don't even have to, but they know politically if they do that and say they had to do it, that puts up pressure to raise taxes. No, we don't have to do that. We can cut other things, not education. Education should be our top priority with our tax dollars. It should not be cut. We should invest heavily all over the state, nothing more important than education. But let's restore, while we're investing in education, let's hold schools accountable, but let's restore vocational training, job training, and technical training back into our public high schools, into our school system again, so our young people are trained for the jobs that are available. Let's form alliances. Let's form alliances between the local business community, the local community colleges, and the high schools to bring in the training into the public school system for the jobs that you have available. We have one of the highest unemployment rates in America, higher than Michigan. I mean, good grief. Come on, folks. It's ridiculous. We have really high unemployment, but we have thousands of jobs going unfilled in Illinois because our young people aren't trained to fill them. That's a failure of leadership. We've got to transform that and turn it around. Let's make our education systems, K-12, early childhood, community colleges, universities, veterans retraining, job retraining. Let's make it world-class in Illinois. Let's invest and hold it accountable for results. World-class, third priority. Fourth priority for Evelyn and me is term limits. We believe we should have term limits on all the elected officials in Springfield. 8 years is plenty of time to hold any one office. You know, when George Washington founded America, he could have been president for life. In fact, many Americans wanted George Washington to be king. George Washington said, no, I'll be a public servant, I'll work for the people of America for 8 years, and he left. He did that voluntarily. That was not the law. And he made America unique. Of the early young democracies around the world, other democracies elected somebody, and that person said, oh, I like this job, I think I'll keep it for life and I'll be a dictator. That happened all over the world. Didn't happen in America because George Washington said, I'm a public servant. He was head of the army. He could have easily been a dictator. He could have ruled America until he passed away. He said, no, I want to work for the people, and then I'll leave after 8 years and let other leaders emerge and set a standard and a tone of excellence. Boy, we need that mindset in Springfield. We need folks who are public servants, doing it purely as a giving back to society, serving for 8 years and then leaving office, rather than as career politicians making money from their political power. 4 decades. We've got to change that. And we tried, Evelyn and I pushed legislation in the General Assembly to put term limits on governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, treasurer, and that bill, they wouldn't even let it out of committee yesterday. That bill went down to defeat. Not surprised, but it just shows how the politicians, they like their power, they're going to block this. So Evelyn and I have taken this matter into our own hands, and we're bringing it to you, the voters, to decide on term limits. Under state law, we can't put a constitutional referendum to the voters for statewide offices, but we can do it for the legislature. So that's what we've done. Evelyn and I have led a term limits petition drive over the last 8 months. We've been collecting signatures for 8 months. The goal was to collect 298,000 signatures by May 4th, by next week. That was the goal. Well, today we announced we way more than exceeded our goal. We've collected 591,000 signatures. Now it's going to be on the ballot. I mean, the politicians will challenge it and different people will sue and all the usuals. They'll try to throw up all kinds of roadblocks. That's what they do. But they're not going to hold it back. The voters want this. The voters believe in it. The vast majority of voters in both political parties support term limits. And it's not the be end and end all. It's not the answer to every problem. But you know what? When folks are not looking at these political positions as a career of money, but as a public service giving back, we'll get different people to run, and we'll change that culture. So folks aren't entrenched with special interest groups locked into their own corrupt culture. We're going to change that. It's going to take a while. You know, many of you remember Adlai Stevenson. He had a very famous line about the culture here in the legislature. He said, I think he said it way back in the 1960s, if I'm not mistaken. He said, "Cleanliness is next to godliness, except in the Illinois legislature, where it's next to impossible." And you know what? We've got a system here that's really not run for the benefit of the people. It's run for the benefit of special interest groups. And the politicians themselves who make money from the process. We've got to change that. And term limits can be a big step, and Evelyn and I are going to deliver that result for you and all the voters. And then once we get into power, we will push term limits on ourselves and all statewide office holders, and we can make Illinois a role model for how to bring in fresh leadership, new ideas, every election cycle. We need young people, new leaders, new ideas to help transform our state government. Very quickly, I mentioned Evelyn's background, my background. I grew up here in Illinois. My parents lived in Lake County. I grew up in a community of Deerfield in Lake County. My dad was an electrical engineer, executive at Motorola in Schaumburg. My mom was a nurse at Northwestern University Hospital. I'm the oldest of 4 kids. I'm half Swedish, half German, German Catholic, Swedish Lutheran. My parents argued about it, and I was raised Episcopalian as a compromise. My best friend growing up was my Swedish grandfather. My mom's family came from Scandinavia, and they were dairy farmers. Dairy farmers, corn and cows. And my grandfather was also a union guy. He was a member of a union and made a butter maker in Hawthorne Melody Cottage Cheese Factory in Whitewater, Wisconsin, and Madison, Wisconsin. And my grandfather taught me how to hard work. I lived my life. My grandfather was my best friend. He got me into hunting and fishing in the outdoors. I still raise cattle and still grow crops, kind of as an ode to my grandfather. It's in my blood. It's not my main business. But you know what? My grandfather said 3 things to me that stuck with me my whole life. Early on, I remember talking in a rowboat, catching my first fish when I was 5 years old. He said, "Bruce, whatever you do in your life, doesn't really matter what you do it really well, work your tail off. Give it your 100% all. Do as well in school as you can, go as far in your education as you can, because that's the key to your future. And third, give back in your community, because everybody needs some help. We all have a moral obligation to help each other." That's a big deal to me. I've tried to live my life that way. And that's why I'm running, and that's the policy, that's the approach. I take everything I do, and I want to bring that here to the government in Springfield. I worked my way through school, parking cars, flipping burgers. I'm a workaholic. That's why I love campaigning. It's hard work, and I love hard work. 7 days a week, we're campaigning. I love every minute of it. The people of this state are great. But I worked my way through school, parking cars, flipping burgers. In college, I was a breakfast chef. At 5 a.m. at night, I was a radio newsman. I have a voice for radio. Although my friends who've seen my political ads say, "Bruce, you do have a great voice for radio, but you have a face for radio too. Stay off of television." I say, no, we're going to get our ads out. And now we've got my wife has a face for television, which is really good. And my wife and I are out there on the campaign trail together, and it's a lot of fun. It's going well. But I worked my way through school, and I was fortunate. I met 2 executives at the First National Bank of Chicago when I first got out of school, and they were leaving to start a venture capital firm to start and grow technology companies. And I joined them. I was employee number 5 in 1981. I became a partner in 1983 after 2 years. I became head of the firm, managing partner of the firm in 1987 at the age of 31 years old. And I was there for 32 years, and we built it into one of the most successful investment companies in America. Very proud of the companies that we built and the investments we made. And you know what I'm really proud of is for those 32 years, my partners and I have been working for teachers, state troopers, government workers, university professors, and university students here in Illinois and around America. Because university endowments and foundations and state pensions were our biggest investors by far. By far. And we did an extraordinary job. We did well over double the stock market returns on average over the last 32 years. So we saved taxpayers in Illinois and around America hundreds of millions of dollars, and we made a better retirement for our teachers and for our state workers and our law enforcement officers, who I am a huge advocate for. I'm very proud of that record. I want to bring that track record of success in business and apply it into our government. So we drive results. Evelyn and I aren't just into a process, we want to get a result for you. So this is the best state you can possibly be in to invest and grow and thrive. You know what? Leadership is not partisan. Problem solving is not partisan. Management is not partisan. Team building is not partisan. We need results for the people of Illinois. We're doing this out of love for the state. That's why Evelyn and I are doing it. We're honored and excited to go to work for you. This is going to be a rough campaign. This ain't tiddlywinks. I mean, this is nasty. You know what? I like to fight as hard as anybody in this state. And when somebody threatens my home, your home, our kids' future, you know what? They picking a fight with the wrong guy. I'm going to go to work for you, and we're going to win this race. We're going to transform our economy so we're a booming economy where you guys are proud and thriving again. We're going to win this. And you know what? I'm a conservative Republican. But you know what? We've had voters, leaders all over the state come to Evelyn and me and say, Bruce, I don't normally vote Republican, but you know what? We need more jobs. We need better schools. And you know what? My home value went down 30%. My taxes went up 25%. This ain't working. This ain't working. We're gonna vote for you. We're gonna help you. African American leaders, African American ministers in Chicago and Rockford, Latino leaders, Greek leaders, Polish leaders, Romanian leaders, Armenian leaders. They're coming to us, traditionally Democrats, and saying, we're with you. We need a transformation. We love Evelyn. We love your message, Bruce. We want to go to work for you. You know what? I went and I spoke to 600 Romanian Americans at their church a couple months ago in the basement in the afternoon. And I stood up in front of them. I stood up and just said, I have Bruce Rauner running for governor. Some of them stood up and started cheering. And you know what? It was in a neighborhood in Chicago where there aren't many Republicans. You know, you could argue the Republicans illegal up there. I mean, there's not many there. And you know what? You know what they said to me? They were cheering and clapping. They said, Bruce, thank you for being a Republican who's actually come to talk to us, because Republicans never come to see us. And thank you for asking for our vote. And you know what? We left Romania because we don't like big government. We left to get away from communism. We came here for freedom and opportunity. That's your message to us. We love your message. Where are your yard signs? We want to go to work for you. There's 600 voters that, you know what, if we weren't there asking, well, I don't know what they would do. They might not even vote, or they might vote for the wrong side. Evelyn and I are going to ask for every vote. We are going to get out and ask for a vote in every neighborhood, in every community. We want a booming economy in Effingham and Mount Vernon and Quincy and East St. Louis and Rockford and Waukegan. We are everywhere in the state. We want to work for every voter. We're one state. This whole upstate, downstate, Chicago, you know what? We're one state. We are one group of people. Our futures are tied together. We're going to win this together. Evelyn and I are honored and excited to go to work for you. Thank you very much.
We had a couple members submit some questions, and Bruce said he'd be happy to answer them. First question, Democrats have been in control a long time in Illinois. If elected, how will you work with them to get things done?
Well, it's a great question. So my wife and I are actually going to move into the governor's residence. It's a novel idea. I know that's a really weird concept, but I mean, we're going to do it. And I'm very, very excited about it. I gotta be candid. My wife doesn't totally love the idea. I mean, you know, that's true. But you know what? She cares about this state very passionately too. And by the way, she's a Democrat. You know, I love her anyway. Nobody's perfect. And you know what? We're going to live here. I want to get to know every legislator on a first name basis. That's what you do in business. If you're going to do tough negotiations, you're going to talk about solutions to tough problems. You don't wing in a phone call and make a threat. You get to know people and you talk about the issues on a personal basis. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to get to know every legislator. I'm going to develop relationships with them, with the different caucus leaders, to drive results. And you know what? I've had a history of working with Democrats and Republicans on issues. I chaired the Tourism Bureau in Chicago. Chicago was suffering in tourism. It's a huge economic growth engine, and Chicago was losing tourist opportunities. I chaired the bureau there, and we put in a new board, new management team, new marketing program, and now Chicago is one of the fastest growing tourism destinations in America. You know what? I can work with the mayor in Chicago on charter schools and vouchers. My wife and I are among the biggest funders of school competition and school choice in Illinois, and I've worked with the mayors in Chicago. I don't agree with the mayors on many things. But you know what? The mayors in Chicago need a better business climate. They need real pension reform, and they want school choice and school competition. I agree with them on that. We're going to work together to solve those problems. And you know what? It's an interesting thing is I'm right in the middle of the process of meeting with every legislator here in Springfield. I'm going to get to know them all, and we're well into that process. I've spent time with the Speaker and the President and the caucus leaders and their members. And I've met with all the Republican members, and I'm in the process of meeting with all the Democratic members. I'll get to know them all personally. You know what? Many of them have said, and even Democrats, not just Republicans, have said, Bruce, you know what? We kind of need a leader like you down here who's going to be willing to take some arrows. Because we're not going to take the arrows. We need you to, if you'll take the arrows, we can take some votes to get most of the way where you need to go. But if you take, you know what, it's an interesting thing. I'm not a politician. You know, in business, you guys know this. In business, to get great results, if you're a leader or head of a firm, what you do is you take on the responsibility and you take the heat and you take the blame when things don't go well, but you give the credit to your team. That's what you do to get results. Think about what politicians do. Exact opposite. They work hard to avoid blame for everything they can and work hard to get in front and take credit for everything they can. I can work with that. I'll give them all the credit for the good stuff. Put all the bad stuff on me. I don't care. I'm not running because re-election is not my top 10 worry list. I believe we're going to transform the government. We're going to easily get re-elected, but I'm only going to do this for 8 years. I had to make a promise to my wife. I wasn't going to do this more than 8 years. And that's it. And you know what? I can work well with the politicians here. I can solve problems for them, and I'll take all the blame. And I'll take all the arrows. I'm happy to take arrows. And that's how we can get things. There's common ground here. The reality is Democrats know and Republicans know where the system isn't working. They can see that. And all the voters in both parties see that. We can help craft bipartisan solutions. I know we can get major things done. I'm honored and excited to go to work for leaders in both sides of the aisle.
Simple competence in state government is a big issue. How will you approach recruiting top talent to your administration?
That's a great question. This is one of the most important issues. In business, to succeed, no one person does anything. Everything in life is about team. It's a team. It's a team effort. Evelyn and I are two people. We need to assemble the most talented team of leaders and executives who have ever turned around a state government, and that's what we're going to do. That's what I've done my whole life. Every time we start a business or invest in a business or build a business, we try to put together the most talented team that really knows that industry or that sector. That's what we do. That's what I've done for 32 years. I've assembled dozens and dozens and dozens of super talented teams. That's how we succeeded. Evelyn and I are committed to assembling talent. The most talented people around Illinois, we want to bring them into Springfield to turn the government around. And you know what, Mitch Daniels is my role model. Mitch Daniels brought in 30 superstars from the private sector around Indiana and around America into Indianapolis and had them put in charge of the government to run the government efficiently and effectively and transparently. And that's exactly what we want to do here. Now be careful, if you raise your hands during this, I may actually recruit you to come in to work for the government, so be slow to raise your hand. But you know what? I want to assemble, we're very blessed. We've already had many executives come to us and say, Bruce, like your leadership, like your message. I love the state of Illinois, and I'd be willing to work for $1 a year too. I'll give back for a few years. We'll come in and we'll work for the government and help transform it. We need expertise in pensions, expertise in Medicaid, expertise in tax strategy, expertise in business policy, expertise in workers' comp. We need brilliant people who are doing it for the right reasons to drive a result. We don't have much of that. What we have is patronage. People put in charge of the departments of the government because of political favoritism, not because they're qualified to be leaders of these government departments. Natural resources, transportation. I mean, we're already seeing it right now, these investigations going on. It's the tip of the iceberg. It's the tip of the iceberg. Illinois has run with a patronage, cronyism basis, not a basis on expertise. And we got to change that. And that'll be top priority.
Last question. What are you planning to do to improve Illinois in terms of business retention, and how will you help businesses succeed and grow the economy?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. So the business of Illinois should be business. It's the key to every challenge we've got: poverty, crime, unemployment, low wages, lack of income growth. You name the challenge we've got, you guys are a key part of the solution. When you guys are investing and growing and thriving, all those problems help get mitigated. The other key is education. Education's not the answer to every problem, but poverty, crime, unemployment, low wages, you name the challenge, education is a key component of it. So small business owners in Illinois thriving and a great education system, those two things together drive prosperity. They are the answer, they're the primary driver, the solutions to our problems. So we're going to make our administration the most business-friendly that we can in America. We're going to have business executives helping run the government. We're going to be out there solving your problems. Today, the bureaucracy in Illinois almost exists to put up roadblocks. Put up roadblocks for you guys. New regulations, new tax burden, new ways to clip fees and excise charges, and another rule, another unfunded mandate, another whatever. I mean, we are a regulation burden happy state. We got to change that. We've got to get the roadblocks out of your way so you guys can grow and thrive and invest. That'll be top priority. We're going to have multiple liaisons to the business community, and we're going to have an efficient process to be responsive. And I'm going to travel the nation. Once we get our workers' comp and our tort system and our regulatory burden and the restrictions, we've got so many. I'm going to travel the nation. I'll do it on my nickel, recruiting companies to come to Illinois. Companies want to come here. I want them coming here, investing and thriving, and I'll do my nickel. I'm happy to do it. I want a booming economy where we've got choices. You've got great workforce to choose from, and you're happy and proud to be in Illinois. Top priority. And I want a direct liaison to you. Call us, give us input, give us criticism. I want to know the issues that you face, because I'm a problem solver, but I can't solve a problem I don't know about. There may be things going on in your industry that the government is getting in your way. I'm going to be out knocking down roadblocks, knocking down barriers. So you have every reason to be able to throw and streamline the process. I'll give you two quick stories. I have a friend who's a dentist. He's built a large dental practice employing a lot of healthcare professionals. And he was moving, he had to move for personal family reasons to Minneapolis, to Minnesota. He sent in his form digitally to get his license to practice in Minnesota. 24 hours, boom, license, ready to go to work in Minnesota. He did that for, I don't remember, 6 or 7 years. For family reasons, he wanted to come back to Illinois. Sent in the form, it was a paper form, not digital. Sent it in, they said, well, it'll be about 6 weeks. Get your license back in Illinois. I said, really? Okay. 6 weeks go by, he doesn't hear anything. Calls up, well, we don't have a record of your application. Really? Okay, and then he's a take the charge guy. Went in and went down to Springfield and looked. They went into the department. He made him go look. He said, "Send it in. I got here's the copies, and here's the form of the." You know what? They found it after they worked for a few hours, and a couple people had to go in and help them find it. You know, there's a good employment opportunity. Let's go send people into, that's real productive work. That's all paper. And they said, "Oh, we found it. Okay, so now, okay, 6 weeks. We'll let you know." Hello, this is Illinois government. We don't use technology. We make things the bureaucracy exists for its own benefit, not to make your lives easier. Your lives better, your business is easier. That's what's going on. I met an executive in Champaign on the campaign trail. He's a proud native-born son of Champaign, Illinois. Never wants to leave Champaign. He's dedicated to Champaign, Illinois. But he's got a manufacturing plant there and one in, I think in Tennessee and Oklahoma, if I'm not mistaken, a couple other states. He told me, Bruce, love your message. I think I'll be able to still vote for you next year because I'm going to keep my residency here, although a lot of my executives want to move. But he said, Bruce, if I just did nothing else, I had the same workforce, same customers, same manufacturing process, all I did was slide our manufacturing plant east about 35 miles, you know what? I would personally make $10 million more a year. That's a lot of loyalty. You know what? As long as that's true, as long as that's the dynamic between the states around us in Illinois, we don't have a good future. We don't. Not that many people are willing to be that loyal for that long. And we got to change that. And that's what Evelyn and I are going to do that for you. We're going to transform this economy. We're honored and excited to work. Thank you for your support. Let's go win this election. Thank you.
You're watching the Illinois Channel, an independent nonprofit corporation formed to provide gavel-to-gavel coverage of Illinois state government and other public affairs events taking place across Illinois.